line. So welcome to this our webinar about hybrid sales, how to succeed in hybrid sales just after the most active pandemic time. And today we will have 1 hour time to discuss about hybrid sales on different kind of viewpoints, what kind of businesses, to what kind of businesses the hybrid sales model is suitable, and is there any special characteristics of hybrid sales model, and what does it mean for salesperson and team manager, and what kind of best practices there are. And of course, I'm interested always to discuss more about how Seidat will support you to when you have a hybrid sales model. I have live chat open all the time, so please, whenever you have something to ask, make a question and I try to find it there. I have Suvi together with me, and she will support me to find those questions if I'm not following the chat all the time. And I'm recording the meeting, so if there is some technical problems or you must go to other meetings maybe, then you will get this recording later. So welcome once again. Actually, I'm Paulus Perkkiö. I'm CEO and founder of our company Seidat. I have been working with sales about 30 years. I have started when I was a very little child, and at that time I went from door to door and I sold, for example, Christmas cards. And after that time I have been working mostly with professional services and IT, and I have been selling that kind of services about 20 years. So it's the viewpoint where I'm thinking about this sales paradigm. I want to mention that we have many active discussions and things going on all the time in social media, so please follow us there. It's the easiest way to keep up to date all the time, so go there and join to those discussions which we have there. But to discuss about hybrid sales, I would like to start that with this thinking about what is sales all about and why we are discussing today about hybrid sales. Of course, the main point there is that there has been very active pandemic time, and during that time it happened that most companies they don't have any other opportunity than have to change their face-to-face meeting concept to hybrid or virtual sales concept. Typically, it has happened that all companies had virtual sales concept, online meetings all the time, full day. And just now, when we are opening our work life so that we can meet once again other people and we are coming back to the offices, it means that we are at the same time thinking about, should we go back to that time when we met people face to face? And what I have seen in many discussions, people are thinking that there is no reason to go back to that time. And I would say my main message is actually that please do not try to go back to that time which you had before pandemic, because the world is not anymore that kind of world. Your customers are maybe not anymore working at the office. Even if you go there, like I'm here at the office, typically our customers are sitting still at home. I can't go to their office and meet them there. But what is sales about? And the second question could be, if you want to comment, please comment in chat what is sales all about and how sale has changed during the pandemic time. I think those are most important questions in this early beginning of this webinar. And if I take short introduction how I'm thinking about sales, is that typically we are discussing in sales discussion, we discuss about solution sales concept. We are trying to understand what kind of needs our customers has. We are trying to solve them, giving them a solution, a proposal, and then we are trying to catch the decision, final decision to start cooperation. It's the way typically how sales is done. And at the same time, in sales organization, we are always discussing what kind of value we can bring to our customers. What is the most important thing we can give them? And what is the value of that? And from customer side, they are thinking when they are buying, they are thinking about implementation typically. How much will it cost? Not only the bill which we, for example, are sending to them, but what is the total cost of the investment? And then they are checking if this added value is how much bigger it is than this investment cost. And if you think about sales, actually, it means that we should fit everything so that the solution which we are offering to our customers, it should tell them that you will give them so big extra value that the total investment which they are buying is much lower than the value. So I think this is the basics of the sales. Finding the need, giving a solution which gives enough value for your customer to make positive decision. If you can make that process work, then you are selling quite well. And now if we think about this time which we had about 1.5 years ago when we met this pandemic time, we were discussing about virtual sales. Is it possible to sell everything online? And my statement is that if you are thinking about online sales, virtual sales, or remote sales, how you call it, you can sell more. You will sell faster and more efficiently than in face-to-face sales concept. I want to start this hybrid sales webinar going through this why online sales is so competitive way to sell anything. It's the first thing is that if you have virtual sales concept, you can have more meetings than then at that time when you have face-to-face meetings. It's only because you don't need to travel from meeting to meeting, from customer to customer. Of course, in some cases, the customers can come to you, but it's not that typical. So you can have twice as many meetings as you have when you have a face-to-face meeting concept. But it's not only one, it's not the only reason. It's also so that booking those meetings, it's much more faster and easier because you can find suitable times from calendars much more easier. So scheduling meetings is faster. And one reason for that is that online meetings can be held anywhere. So if you are on your cottage, you are having a longer weekend, for example, somewhere, you are traveling somewhere, even there you can have those meetings. And because of that organizing and scheduling meetings, it means that you will get those decisions much faster, because you can get all those decision makers in one session. And when you get those decision makers in your sessions, it means that you can it's easier to get those decisions. And for us, it's, for example, really important that we can have our customers anywhere. I have had days where I have had meetings to Norway, to Finland, to USA in one day. If I want to travel so that I start my day from Oslo and then I go to the Rovaniemi to northern Finland and then back to somewhere New York area in USA, it's not possible. But if you have virtual sales concept, you can make that happen. When we are not today here discussing only about virtual sales, it's part of hybrid sales concept. It's also interesting to discuss what kind of problems there are, what kind of challenges there are when you think about virtual sales. Technology is one of that. It's not, you can easily maybe remember those situations when you have had a meeting and the beginning of the meeting has taken a little bit time to get everyone make them machines work so that they can hear what you are saying or you can hear what your customer is saying. Technology is one problem, and many people think that this is the reason why they really want to stop having those virtual meetings and they want to have only face-to-face meetings. One problem is that in many cases, people have not used to this kind of meetings so much, and they don't have some kind of this interaction and discussion is not that natural, and result is that meetings are ending up to demonstrating only the product. It's not anymore discussion as normal sales. And that's the one reason. Some people think that they are not able to build trust because they can't understand so well. They can't see the body language, and they can't make this handshake so strict, and so everything is a little bit wired in virtual meetings, and it's not stirring any emotions. It's too technical and too cold. It's something what people are thinking about, and that's why they think that they can't get decisions, and yeah, there are many problems. And that's why they think that in face-to-face sales, they can make bigger deals and they can have better win rate and it feels better. They love this kind of lifestyle to go around everywhere around the globe and meet people. But I would say that in this webinar, I want to make you thinking about this kind of thing, that is that true? I must also say that if you are in that kind of business, for example, in industry where you are building, manufacturing those machines, it's very typical that you must visit your customers to see the factory environment, and before you visit in a factory, you can't make good enough solution for your customer. That can be true. For example, or if you are building some, if you are selling some repairing service, for example, to this kind of bridges, it means that it's better to visit to the in Norway, for example, in Narvik area, to check what kind of bridge this is actually, to minimize all kind of risks. And it's also very typical that people are thinking that you can get more diverse interaction in meeting. It's easier to discuss. It's easier to make everyone understanding. It's easier to, for example, to go to the whiteboard and draw the solution on that board, and then make your customer to understand how you could solve their problems, to tailor your solution for them. And for example, those all kind of sales tools, if you are used to have, for example, typical paper and pen way tools, then of course it's better if you are used to use them. Virtual sales without, for example, good sales materials in presentation mode, you can't have this kind of tools which you are using in face-to-face meetings in virtual sales meeting. But what we are discussing today here is that I don't see that virtual sales and face-to-face sales, they are not mutually exclusive. Your sales process can include both of them, and then it's actually hybrid sales. And if you think about this process, what I'm speaking about, it has several steps. Typically, sales process starts from contacting. You try to get one meeting, then you will have this meeting, and after the meeting you will send to your customer, for example, some memos or sponsor letters or proposal. You go through that proposal and sign it, and this is a process. And now when we think about hybrid sales, there are many steps. Typically Hello, hello. Can you hear me once again? Nice. I'm not sure how long time it has been that you haven't heard me, but I can't easily remember what I have been speaking lately. But yes, if you think about this process, sales process where you have meetings, maybe several of them, and in the first meeting maybe you have some kind of need survey. You discuss with your potential customer what kind of needs they have, and then in another meeting maybe you have some kind of solution proposal, and after that you have a proposal meeting, for example. If you think about hybrid sales, there are many of those steps which we must decide. Do we have in this meeting face-to-face concept or virtual sales concept? And actually, it was about 2 weeks ago when I had in Helsinki, here in Finland, we have one kind of business mountain bike breakfasts. So on every second week we have one company is organizing this kind of session where you have at first 1 hour mountain biking with business people, and after that you have a breakfast, and then you have a discussions about your business. It was very interesting. Last time when I was there, I booked 2 meetings, and those meetings are typically after that session, they are virtual meetings, but at first it was interesting that this first step, I made it face to face, like I have done several times before pandemic time in different kind of events. So events are, for example, one interesting part where you can book meetings face to face. And today it also happens that you have virtual events, and in those events, for example, in this event, if you want, you can go in chat, discuss with others, and maybe organize, then book meetings during this webinar. So there are many situations where you must decide this big question: how I will sell that. And now it's very interesting situation when we have now once again opportunity to think about this question, and we must think about this question. And in your sales organization, maybe there are many different kind of feelings about that. Some of your colleagues are thinking that they won't really meet your customers face to face, and the others are thinking about continuing this kind of virtual sales concept. But what does that mean? I think that it's very important to understand that if you have this kind of process where you must decide in every step, should I meet or should we have a virtual session? It takes a little bit time, and your concentration is not in sales, in deal closing, but you are all the time thinking, how should I make this happen? And it's not any more efficient. And that's why I think you must think about quite a lot about your business, your customers' business, and discuss with your customers how they think about this. Do they want that you meet them face to face, or do they actually want that at least those first steps are done in virtual sales, having a virtual sales concept, and then when they know more about your services and what kind of extra value you can bring them, then maybe in those last steps, when they must make that final decision, maybe in that step you will have face-to-face meeting. But from managing point of view, I think it's very important that you have a discussion in your team. What kind of concepts, what are you using face-to-face or virtual sales concept in which steps in which stages of your sales concept? Of course, if we think about this sales from from the point of view where you have this kind of steps of sales, where you start from preparation, you call maybe it's strong start in the early beginning when you meet when you have this first impression session. You may discuss about trust building, demonstration, proposal or offering, and then deal closing and account-based sales development. And if you think about those steps, should you use virtual, hybrid, or face-to-face concept? It's very easy to go back to those questions which I had earlier here. What kind of challenges you may have and how it's easier in face-to-face meeting to make this and that happen. But what I would say that please think about have a good discussion with your team, and you must make decisions how you play your sales game, what kind of sales playbook you have in future. Test it and develop it all the time. And when you start developing that sales process, I call it sales design. I think it's very interesting perspective to develop sales because, for example, I think this sentence in the below of the slide, how to make buying easy, is the most important question when you start developing your sales process, when you are thinking about, should I make it this or that way? And actually this sales design concept is coming from my background. My professional background is in design. I'm industrial designer, product designer from my educational background. And if I'm thinking about that time when I was developing products, designing them, we were all the time thinking about how to make them distinctive, how to keep the uniform quality in manufacturing process, what kind of manufacturing methodologies we should use, how to make it reproducible and cost effective. Those are the most important questions typically when you are designing a product. And for example, this distinctiveness is an interesting question because we are typically thinking that how our products or brand visual identity, are they distinctive enough? But I think that we can also make the whole sales process distinctive. And if you think about hybrid sales, I think there are many opportunities how you could develop your sales process and make it distinctive itself. And it will give you competitive advantage in also in sales process, not only with your products and your branding. And I think it's very important thing to think this way. And typically those steps how to design your sales process, we are using this kind of steps where we start from current operating model. We try to understand how we are operating today. Then we set goals. We develop some kind of script or development steps, how we want this, or scenarios, could say also. Scenarios, how we want it work, what kind of sales concept we want to have. And when we have clear image of that, we can start developing all kind of supporting materials like presentations. And when you have those materials, then you can train your people. And when you have more experience, you will get feedback from your customers. You can start developing the whole process once again. This is the way how you could start developing this process. I said that supporting materials are part of that sales process. And of course, when we are developing Seidat sales platform, sales presentation platform, we are quite many times discussing with our customers how could we support our sales teams? What is the way to support them to make this interaction between your sales people and your customers as efficient as possible? And for example, in this webinar, if I could only speak to you, I think based on those studies which I have checked, it means that you will understand maybe, or you will get about 10% of my message. It's not that much. But if I will use some text, like bullet points or that kind of graphic together, the understanding will be twice as much as only on speech. But if we can use something with visual content, like slides, like this visualization, it means that your customers will understand even 80% of your message. If you have visualizations which support the speech which you have. I think this is very important thing. The more you have any kind of visualizations, the more your customers will understand what you are presenting for them. The more they will understand, the more easy it is to make decisions, positive decisions and buying decisions. And those visualizations, you should collect them to one great slide sales deck and make that sales deck structure so that it will help you and your colleagues to have those interactive discussions. How we do that in Seidat, we do it so that we have this kind of matrix structure in all our presentations. And typically, we make it so that in this first chapter, we have some kind of introduction, then some kind of need survey. We are trying to have slides which support us to have that conversation about those customer needs so that we can clarify them, understand them well enough. After that, we have some common slides where we tell what kind of problems we are now solving. And then maybe you tell to your customer, what is your solution? Why your customer should choose you as a service provider? What kind of references you have? What kind of process you have to make that value which you are bringing to happen? How will you deliver your services and products? And what are the next steps? If you have this kind of structure where you have on upper line, it's like an elevator pitch level, and then you can navigate deeper here, down, 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 if you will get more questions. And if you have this kind of presenter view, which I have, I can see the whole presentation here, and I can change those slides easily using this way. I have actually in other screen this presenter view. Whenever you have a question, I can jump immediately to those slides which are answering to those questions which you have. And it makes me as a salesperson feeling very good, because I then feel that the content which I'm using is supporting me as a salesperson. It also gives many kind of wow effects on buyer side, and they are asking then maybe that how have you prepared so well that you have immediately slide after this which is answering to questions which I'm having now. How is that possible? And I think it's very important to make that process work this way. It can be done that way in virtual sales. It can be done that way in face-to-face meetings. And I think it's very, very important thing. Then, if you think about this virtual sales and hybrid sales, face-to-face sales, of course, one big question. It's not only process question, it's also tool question. Are your tools done and designed that way that they are suitable for both processes, so that you can, even if you have this kind of process, hybrid sales process, where you have some meetings face-to-face, some meetings you will have them online, can you use same tools in both processes? And this is one reason why Seidat is so great tool for hybrid sales. In online meetings, for example, I'm sure Suvi maybe don't have sent you a link, but if you could, Suvi, send a link to this presentation, I can present this presentation to you even during the phone call, because I can send this link to this presentation using, for example, SMS messages, and you can open it with your mobile phone, with your tablet, with your laptop, desktop device, with any device, and without any login processes. It's very fast and easy. So there is now link. If you open it, you will see that when I change the slide, you will see immediately the same slide, and the quality is even better than in this screen sharing. If you think about Seidat as a hybrid sales tool, in Seidat you can create all those presentations, all those sales materials which you need in one place. You can present them in online meetings, you can present them in face-to-face meeting, in big screens, in mobile devices. You can share those contents. You don't need to anymore think about attachments. Whenever you share using our shared links, you have also analytics where you can see how many times your customer has opened the content, what kind of pages they have visited, how much they have spent time, where they have been in Finland or in Spain or in USA. They can even use this platform for e-signatures, and you can keep all the material always up to date using our great tools. And for example, if I update this slide, I think it's used in I'm not sure this is English version. In Finnish version, we have this slide about in 900 presentation. This English version is maybe in, let's say, in 100 presentation. But it's nice when I update this slide, 100 presentations are updated at the same time. It takes quite a lot time to update all of them separately, but using this kind of tools, it saves so much time. It's also very important to understand that you can automatize all those processes to create, for example, proposals using our integrations via Zapier or directly to, for example, to Pipedrive, so that it's very easy to make that happen. And whenever you use Seidat and you share the content to your customers, you can set your Seidat account so that it's integrated to your all marketing analytics tools, for example, to HubSpot, to Google Analytics, to Leadfeeder. And if you are using those tools to check how many people are visiting to your website, what they are doing there, you will get same information about your sales text. And it's very interesting. And one more interesting thing is that if you are using Seidat, you can integrate your social media account pixels to Seidat, so that whenever you send material to your customer, it will track the openings, and if you are sending them content about your new product or new service, then you can direct your social media marketing as a remarketing, using remarketing concept, retargeting concept. So you can advertise to your potential customers about your new product, because they have visited on those slides where you are presenting how your new product is working. So you don't have anymore only your website, but you can attach also Seidat presentations to your remarketing campaign, and it's very innovative thing. It's also important that you have opportunity to include all kind of calculators, for example, to make ROI calculations. You can use all kind of three-dimensional content to give more wow feeling. For example, I think that if I would like to sell cars or something car related, it would be very nice to have presentations where I can go inside the car and check how it looks like in reality. I'm not sure if I like this car, but the way how I can demonstrate how it works, what kind of car it is, it's very interesting. Also, it's very useful to have for example, in face-to-face meeting or in virtual meeting, it's very typical that earlier you had a maybe need to jump at first showing a presentation, then jump to browser to show something from your website. But if you are using Seidat, you can go immediately to Seidat website and you can show that, okay, Seidat is working that way and we have this kind of webinars coming on. So you can include that kind of information inside to your sales deck. And when you share your content to your customers, then you can embed, for example, calendars to those contents. I think it's very interesting to send some kind of teaser intros, for example, in LinkedIn, and include this kind of calendar content to that information. And we are using this is you can book me calendar, so there you can book, for example, meeting for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to us. I think it's very useful. Any questions? I haven't seen any. There hasn't been so many questions, so I think that if we go back to this main question, what is sales all about? How sales changed during the pandemic time? I must say once again that sales hasn't changed, but the ways people are behaving has changed quite a lot. You can't anymore you don't have that option to have so many face-to-face meetings which you have had. You can't have only face-to-face meeting concept, or sales concept. You must have some kind of hybrid sales model or virtual sales model. And I think it's very important to understand that and try to start developing your sales processes so that you make it that way. And when you have designed your sales processes well enough, then try to find all those supporting tools, CRM tools, presentation tools, sales platforms, where you can get enough analytics data so that you get feedback how well your process is working, how good your content is which you are sending to your customers, if you are sending proposals, on which pages they are using time, how much, is it more than on that slide, or so on. Typically, I can say that, for example, the page where pricing is one of the most people are using time quite a lot on that slide. It's very interesting. It's about 3 times more than on average page. In the end of this webinar, I must thank you. We are having more webinars in future. Winning Sales Flow will be in November. And please go to our website and sign up for next meetings, next webinars. And please go also to social media and start following us. Because in social media, in LinkedIn, for example, we are telling quite a lot what's going on and what kind of ideas we have to develop this sales world. Thank you once again, and see you again in our webinars. Thank you.